All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Can I Get a Box? Conversation with Northwest Skate Companies. With us today are representatives from new and established brands from right here in the Northwest. On the stage today, we have Marshall Stack Reid down there at the end, man behind Manik Skateboards, All Together Skatepark. Then we've got Sebastian Lopez right down there. Are you guys in order? This would be cool if you were. He's mission control at Space Program. Then we've got Colin Sharp, who's out of order right next to me. He's the man behind Unheard, Skate Distribution. And finally, Ian Ostrowski from Genesis. All right, so let's start at the beginning. Sebastian, what made you want to start the Space Program?
In the hot seat. Hey, everyone. Good seeing you all. It's pretty funny. I actually worked at a design agency, and at 5 years, they give you a $5,000 bonus. And I was like, what's better than spending your $5,000 bonus on something related to skateboarding, which is a bad idea, right? Because no one makes money of skateboarding. But at the time, I lived in Spokane, and I just felt like in Spokane, you kind of get looked over. You know, everything else is happening in Seattle or somewhere else, and Spokane has had really good people come out. There was like this famous skate shop at the time over there, Spirit. You know, there's skaters that have been known from there. But there was this pretty cool generation of kids that were kind of coming up a couple generations under me. And I was like, this is pretty sick. Like, there is something really special about this group of people. And I just felt like my skills in graphic design could contribute to creating something cool that people in our town could be proud of, and then elevate skaters to hopefully, you know, go somewhere with skateboarding.
Nice. And the rest of the panel, is that kind of a similar story to you guys? Like, just wanting to kind of boost the scene?
Yeah, I had a similar situation. I had $4,000 because I used to throw skateboard competitions, and the Sound and the Fury I did 5 years in a row, and then I used to build skateboard ramps. And we just had an extra $4,000, and we're like, let's start a skateboard company.
Extra money, I love it. We're going to get into money later, but how long did the $4,000 to $5,000 last?
Not very long. I mean, yeah, it was like a drop of clothes in like our first like line. It was like 3 boards and then like t-shirts and hoodies, and it was gone.
Right.
Mine lasted 10 years.
Amazing. Ian, I'm interested in your kind of the genesis of Genesis. It started as a video series, and then how did it evolve into a board brand?
Yeah, so we had been doing the video series for, I don't know, probably like 6 or 7 years. And I had kind of always wanted to do a brand with it, but it just kind of felt like my friends weren't really there to like facilitate the brand side of things, trying to do the graphic design and all that. But I think we had just put out our 3rd full length, and we were kind of similar to these guys' deal, where we were sitting on a good chunk of money from the premiere and the merch from that. And at the same time, we had I had this company that had like owed me some money, and I knew someone there that offered to pay me in blank boards.
Oh, nice.
So he gave us like close to like 200 blank boards, and that was kind of what started it. And we were like, we're sitting on 200 blank boards, we have to do something with them. I have all these friends that kind of just left these companies, or these companies aren't really, like, I'm filming clips of my friends every day and I'm sending it to these TMs, and I'm like, hey, do you guys have a video coming out? Can we put this in there? And they're kind of like, So we're making videos every year. We put out a new video every year, and it's just kind of like, why don't we just do this ourselves and have everything kind of come back to us?
Yeah, I mean, a video is a brand, kind of, you know, like you're creating a look and a feel and kind of a story behind it. So it only makes sense to turn it into a brand. And then Colin, you're doing distribution along with a few brands that are yours. How did the distribution come to be? Because that's kind of a different...
Thank you, that's a good one. Thanks, Alex. So basically, I think that the simple answer is that when we started Bacon, and then we started calling on shops and started to promote our brand and try to sell our brand, A lot of the shops would be like, do you have anything else? And we'd be like, no, we just have bacon. And they would, well, we really need hardware, we really need grip tape and all that. And so the natural progression, obviously, from a brand for us, at least in the Northwest, and this is like, I want to say 2006, so, you know, close to 20 years ago, it was just the natural progression was for us to find other brands like, you know, Pat Smith was doing Coda up here. And so I was like, hey, Pat, can we sell Coda out of our, and then obviously we can't call on other brand, shops as bacon to sell like Coda or even, you know, a wheel brand or anything like that. So we had to come up with a name. And the name Unheard actually came, my brother had done a small record label in college called Unheard Records. And so I'm not very clever, so we just stole that name.
Smart. I mean, great brands steal. So, and this may be a question for everybody here. Do you find that when you call shops, they're like, yeah, we could take like, you know, a handful of boards or something, but to make it worth it, we need, like Colin was saying, we need wheels and hardware and like, you know, a fuller box. Is that kind of a hurdle that you guys run into?
The big hurdle that I ran into was every single shop said, well, if you hook up one of our guys, so you call this, can I get a box?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so if we make $12 on a board and you're gonna order 6, but we have to give you one free, well, then we're not making any money, but then you're not gonna carry our stuff. But we wanted to kiss the ass of everybody so that they would carry our stuff, and it's a constant battle. And then that was the issue that I ran into is, but eventually our brand, Manik Skateboards, everybody wanted it. So they didn't, we didn't have to hook up a rider at every shop.
Well, I mean, I think that's, I mean, sorry to interject, but I think that's part of like seeding the market, especially early on, is to get people aware of the brand and brand awareness, and then you're hopefully waiting for that sale to come back and that popularity to kind of facilitate the rest of those orders coming soon. But I totally, you know, empathize with you on the free shit. You know what I mean? Because you're sending out boxes and you're just looking at your profit margin and what you're making. You're like, Jesus, this is a waste of time. But maybe it's like a marketing effort or something like that. But that's why I always like giving away. It's like, yeah, we'll hook up that rider, but with a board. But you know, I'm more about the soft goods and anything like that because that's going to have a longer shelf life as far as marketing and kind of exposing the brand. So.
Yeah, as far as like making more things than just hard goods and soft goods, we're really not that kind of brand. We're just trying to focus on doing something really well and then do that. And hopefully people like what we're doing. The biggest hurdle is always like, okay, who makes your boards? And then you answer that, like this wood shop. And they're like, tight, who writes for your brand? And you're like, these people. And when you're not someone that's known in the industry, you don't come from being a pro skater or anyone on the inside, I feel like it's a lot harder. You have to prove yourself via making good videos or making cool looking good product, and that's more of the hurdle that at least I face with my brand.
Absolutely.
So you guys all started your brands. Did you guys have goals? Like Ian, what's the goal of Genesis?
Profit. Yeah.
Other than profit, of course.
Yeah, I think the goal of it was, I mean, personally, why I wanted to do it is I just wanted to be able to like represent me and my friend group and our inside jokes in a way that I think when I would go into a shop, it's such a niche thing. It's like I didn't feel like I don't know. I feel like we're kind of in this new age of like the internet and meme culture and jokes and stuff, and we're not like as represented in the kind of classic I don't know state of skateboarding, I guess. Yeah,
So you felt like you and your crew was kind of like not represented in what was in the market currently?
Totally. Yeah.
What about the rest of you guys? Sebastian, did you have some goals when you got started?
Yeah, I guess I was looking for kind of the same reasons that Ian did his thing, which is like trying to find good skate talent and elevate them in a way where they can go somewhere with the skating, you know, and that was 10 years ago. So I feel like skateboarding was in a different place back then where it wasn't super diverse. You don't see as many non-dude skaters and teams and things like that. And that's something that's really been dear to me, is to give those opportunities to those folks who deserve it, find good, stylish skateboarding that, can be highlighted, and people who want to do it for real, not just, there's all kinds of skate companies out there, people who do it for fun with their friends, whatever. I always took it very seriously. Like, I wanted the shops and the distributions to look at my brand and be like, that's a sick brand. We want to carry that brand. So that's always been the intent, like, do it the right way, I guess, for us.
And my thing was, I was throwing these contests and having these pro teams coming through, and I was like the local guide in Seattle for years, and I was like, I want to live that life. I want to like travel and land in cities and be welcomed and taken to all the spots. I want to skate those spots. I want to document this. And my friend Nin Trong, who is a genius graphic designer to this day, I was like, I want people to see his art. And then my friends that I was skating with, I was like, I want people to see this skateboarding. And basically we just like replicated the model of any other brand, because I was kind of seeing how they operated locally, and I had an obsession to put Seattle on the map. And then, because since I was running all these contests all over, from Colorado, Sacramento, up, even in Canada, I was like, if I take my team with me, then we get to like promote our team. And we basically like lived like any big brand, but just with no budget.
It's always comes down to the budget. Oh, what was that, Sebastian?
Yeah, $4,000. Well, every time I did an event, I would charge, and back then you used to be able to charge, municipalities like, yeah, we'll bring my whole team for $6,000, and they'd just write the check, and then we would pay for our free boards that we're giving out to everybody, and pay for a hotel for our staff. And I would give my riders, like, I actually did give my riders money every time we did a demo.
Amazing.
And, $100 or $200 a piece, go out here and skateboard. And then it got to they got so entitled that they'd get mad if they were only going to get 100 or something.
Oh man.
Not today.
So what does it take to maintain a skate business? We've talked about the beginning. How's the middle look? Colin, you got something for this?
Come on, you're the big business.
Money.
Yeah.
I mean, just go back to that first question for me, and then maybe potentially a segue into the whole money thing. But it was definitely, we just wanted free shit. 20 whatever years ago we started, we were sick of buying stuff, and we wanted our own stuff. And so we bought our own stuff. And then, once we had riders ride for us, we wanted to see those guys succeed, obviously. And then the other side, that isn't really discussed is I just like business. And I really like to run businesses, and I wanted to be a part of this business and kind of be in the business and the networking and just kind of the finances and just how everything worked. And that's, a lot of it, I probably have very different opinions on that, but I'm like a business guy. I like that stuff. It's just really interesting to me. And that is a perfect segue into basically losing money for 20 years. But
yeah, let's go to the next segment.
Yeah. I always tell, and my wife barks at me for the last forever, but basically, it's either go spend a bunch of money or start a business and fail, because it's the MBA would be the same price as the knowledge that I potentially have gained from this, and the ebbs and flows of the skateboard industry. The problem is like surfing, every wave is different. And so every year, 20 years, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, last year, COVID, everything like that has changed. The industry now is probably, what I consider kind of dead. But the industry is so different every year that you kind of have to adapt, and you can't get super excited. And that's what I've learned, is you just can't get super excited. There's no home runs in this industry. You're not going to be like, oh my God, we're super hot, like Manik, as you were talking about, Marshall, like everyone loves our shit, we're killing it. You don't just kind of double down on that. You play your same game, and you have to be very, aware that potentially it's going to shit, rainy day stuff, it's going to shit next year. So we got to, balance it and try to maintain our brand. And it took a lot, and I definitely lost a lot of personal money in this endeavor, but, my goal obviously is just to keep the brand going, as long as I possibly can. So I don't even know if I answered that question.
You said some cool stuff.
Thanks. That's all I need.
So we talked about the beginning. We're in the middle. So like, what does making it look like? I imagine it's kind of different for
We're
all
here.
of you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than being here on a panel, like Ian, you're in the beginning. Like, what does making it look like to you?
I mean, to me, I really just want to. We're still kind of at a point where we're putting money into it and we're making the same amount back. We're not really. I want to be able to turn a profit at some point, just so I can be able to pay my skaters and pay artists, and I don't know.
That's a
it'd be cool
businessman's
to-
dream.
Yeah, it'd be cool to pay ourselves at some point too. But yeah, I mean, we have like a rider in Japan that we're sending boards to, and it would be cool to one day be able to go to Japan and bring all our guys from the Northwest and LA out to Japan. I think that would be the dream.
Yeah, that would be a huge success. What about you, Sebastian? You've been going for 10 years. What does success look like for the space program?
Yeah, for me, it's more about having enough sales to where now I have a budget to do things for the team. Like we just did our full-length video last year, and before that was like, all right, if we're gonna make this happen, I need to think about all these different things that I need to do with the brand in order to create that capital, that money for that. So for me, making it was able to have that budget, and that goes through maintaining those relationships with the skate shops and the distributors and things like that, to where, there's like the business side that you don't think about when you have the stupid idea of spending your work bonus on a skate company, But for me, it's not so much about making money myself, because like everyone on this and everyone who knows who's sitting here, I don't think we're saying anything new. You lose money in skateboarding. That's just a reality. So yeah, it's basically being able to take care of the team and go cool things with that money that we get.
Yeah. Go ahead, Marshall.
I think I said it when we were talking the other day. Like, I asked my business partner right when we pulled the plug, I said, is there anything we didn't accomplish besides get rich? Like, once, like, I saw photos in the magazines, or we'd see, like, people wearing our shirts, and, like Stefan Janoski really liked one of our T-shirts. And, just, like, when actually, like, pros that I looked up to were hitting me up for boxes, and were, like, sending boxes to Clyde Singleton. He hits everybody up for a box, by the way. But you just seeing, like I was like, okay, we see our stuff everywhere. We, like, get to go to the trade show, and everybody know, like, outside of getting rich, is there anything we didn't accomplish? And we're like, no. And I was like, we're not going to get rich, clearly. And money was the motivator for the whole, like, for this. Once money became the motivator was when we wanted to pull the plug. So, and the last year was us pulling out of $100,000 debt and just being like, all right, now we're just trying to get money into a hole. We're not, like, worried about our riders getting checkouts, or, like, we just accomplished everything we ever, that little childhood fantasy of being cool, like, happened.
Right.
Yeah.
How'd you get into $100,000 debt?
Well, this is a big deal. Everybody knows, and I don't know how public this will be, but Nike forced every shop that had an account to take, like, a huge amount of product that couldn't sell. And then they bankrupted those shops. So we had $100,000 out in pre-book, or we would take half up front, send you the box, send you the package, and then after you sell, you can pay the second half. So we had $100,000 out throughout the United States, and then all these shops had to close their doors and file bankruptcy. And that doesn't mean we didn't have a close personal relationship with it. It was business, but all those shops filed bankruptcy, and we lost $100K, and we spent a year of just producing shirts, screening shirts, buying decks, selling decks, just like at a certain point, we just became a conveyor belt trying to get out of a hole, and there was no more fun to be had.
Yeah, that sounds like a slog.
And what year was that?
Was that 08 is
Yeah.
when the crash happened,
Yeah.
but we pulled the plug in 2012, so 2009 and
years.
2010 was spent pulling out of the hole.
Yeah, no, it wasn't 100 grand, but we have a similar story where so many shops went out of business, and we just obviously couldn't collect. I mean, it's just kind of the history of skateboarding. You just get fucked
and we really went into apparel. We went into cut and sew, and we had New Era hats, and they had minimums. You had to get like 1,200 New Era hats just to have an account, and yeah, we went real big and lost real big.
Be wary, folks.
That's a good quote, by the way.
Yeah, if you learn one thing in this panel, be wary. So is anybody doing this as a full-time job right now?
No.
I wanted to ask Marshall that. Like, what were you doing the whole time?
Bartending, club bartending every night, and you make plenty of money. Like, that's how I had all the kids living with me and bring home like 500 cash, and that funded my life.
So this is all a side project for all you guys?
Not so much me right now because I've got Commonwealth, Unheard distribution, the brands and everything like that. So this is kind of my minimum wage full-time job right now.
Okay.
Pretty
great.
excited about it.
But this isn't a job that you could like buy a house with, or like you don't have a 401k or anything from this?
No, not from this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're talking about money. Takes money to make money. How do you guys compensate like artists, writers, filmers, like, or is it just an understood thing like we're not making money, so you're not making money? How do you guys tackle that?
The way we have employees for Commonwealth, obviously, that get paid, and then employees that help me run Unheard as a distribution, and then I kind of pay. If I work the store, I'll make money. Pay myself. Any of the riders that are with Bacon, I basically pay for all travel. So I don't send checks, or we just don't sell enough board. Hey, if you want to make $2 off a board, here's $10.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if we, like the guys are going to be coming next week for like a little Northwest thing, and I'll just pay for all the either the gas or the flights and so we'll just have like a set aside a little bit of a budget for that, and they just know that anytime they are doing something for the business, I will pay for that. But other than that, not really, you know what I mean? So we try to be as, I think, generous as possible with the brand, and I think there's some knowledge, especially with Bacon. It's so old, and it's like we're not really like a street brand per se. I mean, we do have some guys, but we're not that popular, so it's hard for them to expect more than what I'm offering.
Yeah,
I think.
What about you guys? Is it all kind of a homie hookup, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how you guys all operate, because I'm still in my first year of doing this. I'm still trying to figure out how this all works. We don't have any pro riders, obviously. We're not paying royalties to anyone. I think, in my understanding, just the current state of things, unless if it's a really big board brand, it's usually seems like it's kind of like shoe companies that are kind of like funding careers for the most part. But I mean, I would love to try and pay people. I'm just trying to figure out the logistics.
I just would start as small as possible. It's so hard to go the other direction. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm going to give you $500 a month because you rule. And then it's like, and then you just seem, you know what I mean? So just if you start as small as possible and then just some sort of incentives to get to a certain level. I mean, that's just my thing. I think I've screwed that up by offering the world, you know what I mean?
I know Marshall was saying something too about you were like requesting like certain amount of photos and
Yeah, well, there was two questions, I think, there. One was, how do I pay for my artists? And we'd always say $500. And the artist would run with, that'd be about 5 boards. And we would make a catalog and, T-shirts and all that. But we would make an agreement that you're going to run with whatever you want for $500. And rarely we worked with like Charles Peterson, who's a Sub Pop photographer. We worked with multiple artists that like would charge way more for that, but it was kind of a passion project for them because they wanted to do skateboards. Even today though, like at ATS, if I want a board, I just say, I'll give you $200. Invoice me for $200, which a lot of people don't know how to do that. A lot of artists don't know how to invoice for money. Then when it came to team riders,
That's a good trick.
Yeah, you can do it on Google Docs. It's actually not that hard. And when it came to riders, we would give we started off giving them 3 boards a month, then 4 boards a month, then 5 boards a month. But and then they'd have to provide like 1 photo a month and then 3 video clips a month. I had to become a photographer. First, I was the videographer, so I'd be out there. Like I said, I had a bartending gig, so I could go out and film in the streets all day, and I would get the clips for them. And then finally, I was like, I have to learn how to take skate photos. I can't take a portrait or a landscape photo, but I got decent enough at skate photography that I could get the photos of the guys. So I was basically running around the streets catering to them. So I always have my empathy for you, Ian. I know exactly what you're going, and Shane, I know what Shane does. And but then also I would always find demos, and I can talk to you about that. When somebody's like, hey, we want a skate team to come and do a show, like I just charge them, and then I give that money to my riders. And here's an opportunity for you to make some money, you know. I feel like there used to be a lot more of those opportunities, even though they're coming back. And there will be more in the future, but like I was always figuring out how to pull water out of a rock and then give it to my guys.
Yeah, I try to be pretty straight up with people. If there is a specific artist that we want to work with, and I think every artist that we've worked with has been from the Northwest, so try to be like, here is a $500 budget. You know, we'll love your artwork. We'll love to have it on our boards. Here is when you can expect it to be seen and how it would work, you know. I have 3 riders that have their names on boards, and I try to give them money from our pre-books as well as our sales to them. So the money's not like, hey, you're getting X amount every month. It's just like, depending how much you put into the brand and the brand does, that's what you get out of it, you know. It's like this amount of dollars per board sale. And royalties to the artist as well, you know. So I'm paying them a flat rate, and then plus whatever X amount of dollars out of the boards that we're selling with their artwork in it. Yeah, and it's basically just the balance of making sure that the margin is, you know, that I still make some money as a brand, but don't break it, basically.
Right.
I think that's super smart, especially, I mean, for you, it would be like transparency, full transparency with the people that are involved in helping you succeed. If they can share with you basically all the ups, then they can definitively share with you all the downs if they potentially come by. So, yeah. I mean, I think that over the 20 years that I've been doing, especially bacon, it's that I was very transparent in the very beginning, but everything kind of got loose. Everyone kind of went off. Most of our guys have full-time. One of them's like a pharmaceutical, you know, like a compound pharmacist. It's like they all have their own lives and everything like that, so they're less connected to the kind of the ecosystem of what we're doing. But if you kind of keep that tight, and like I said, everyone kind of shares in the profit, there's no reason why you can't be a part of that sharing as well when times are good.
Yeah, I think the idea of like being a sponsor skater is so sick. And then, you know, when things get more real and you own a brand and you have to create expectations for people where, you know, they want to go on a trip, but they haven't been skating. And you're like, I just know you're going to go party your ass off in New York for a week when I can take the new 18-year-old kid who wants to skate really hard. And same thing goes with the product, you know, like I'm just really upfront with the riders. Like what you put in is what you get out of the brand. If you're not skating, the box is not going to be what it used to be. You might not get invited to a trip. If you're not out there, you know, and it's really hard to have those expectations too. I'm sure we're going to go into that, where it's like half of my team is in their mid to late 20s. I have like 2 dudes that are really young, and they have full lives. I'm not paying anyone, you know, no one's rent with this skateboard company, you know? So it's really hard to have those expectations of people, but at the same time, just being really upfront of saying, you know, this is really cool. We'll love it if you participate, and if you choose not to, if you want to pile out, then you're not going to get any attention.
Yeah. Well, you brought up team. Let's move on to the team marketing section. How do you deal with the team? Like, how do you, like, what's team management look like? Like, Ian, you're starting things out. How do you put together a team, and what do you offer? What can you offer a team?
Yeah, I mean, when we were first starting out, we I think like word was kind of like trickling out that the video series was like turning into a brand. And we took a trip to Phoenix Am, and we met this kid there. And I guess the whole weekend he was like asking all my friends like, hey, can you talk to Ian for me? Can you see if like, and then I guess he was getting boards from a pretty big company. It was like a pretty decent company. But I guess he just had this like frustration of like, oh, like this company doesn't even like make videos anymore. I've never met any of the guys that ride for this company, and like it's cool that they're sending me like 8 boards, but like I feel no connection to like the present day of like what this brand is. And he just wanted to feel like seen and included and have like people that kind of like put him in the spotlight kind of. And like I think, I don't know, that's kind of what I can offer. And also like I know there's a lot of skaters that like don't really care about how their board looks, or like maybe they'll get sent a box and they'll have like a neon pink board and they'll be like, oh, this sucks, and then they won't like tell anyone. Like, so I don't know, I guess I'm trying to like create something that's like I think my friend Tim that runs the brand with me, he calls it with the end user in mind, is what he says. It's like, why would we make something if our own friends don't want to like ride it? So it's like a constant kind of feedback loop of asking our homies like, yo, does this look chill?
Right.
And I think, yeah, that's the goal, is just to like make something that we're all proud of collectively. Yeah.
I kind of look at the brand as like, and I tell this to every rider, like as a stepping stone to hopefully get somewhere else. You know, when we were doing our pre-talk before this last week, we were talking about brands who are not taking on certain riders because they're not on the skate brand, you know, like the Bakers of the world, whatever. And these people who are really talented don't get shoe contracts because they're not on this skate company yet or whatever. So it's like this weird loop that kind of doesn't make sense, because all we're trying to do is highlight these people, right? But I'm really upfront with my riders and say, if you get an opportunity from someone else and you can go travel, you can get a travel budget, you can go somewhere with your skateboarding, by all means, do it. You know, there's only so much that I can do as a brand to take you places. You know, I'm gonna run out of money eventually, or I'm gonna run out of energy. So use this as your platform to hopefully go somewhere else.
Yeah,
100%.
I definitely blessed a few of our riders to move on because they could do bigger things with a bigger brand. But we were close with like Nike and Adidas, so they co-sponsored our riders. But yeah, the companies that advertise with the magazines are the companies that are gonna get more. You know, if they're looking to pick you up, then you should go. And I always supported that choice.
yeah. I mean, the small brands can only offer so much, and yeah, sometimes they outgrow a small brand, and gotta respect the hustle. In the interest of time, let's move on to distribution. This is going to be your section, Colin. Like, how do you get your product into shops? How do you distribute so much stuff?
It's a pain in the ass.
But you love business.
It's yeah, and I do. I mean, just like Marshall was talking about, and I'm sure just like you got to get on the phone. You know, early on, I was pre-email. I mean, not pre-email. Email existed, obviously, but not like it is today. Like, it's hard to get people to pick up the phone and to even talk to people. They want to talk to you. You know, there are certain brands that I know of that will not be mentioned that do all of their business through DM Instagram. And so literally DM shops and stuff like that. I mean, I think it's a you throw everything you can to try to contact shops and or distribution, but if they don't know your brand, like you guys have experienced, you could call on a shop and you're like, hey, we got the shit, you know, we really like this stuff. Yeah, I think you'll do really well with this. Like, no kids asked for it. We've never heard of it. It's not going to happen. So if you do like end up traveling or visiting places and visiting shops and people can kind of make a connection, then you can do it. So that's the real hustle, is just like those mini tours and stuff. We did so many of those tours, and you know, we went through the South and everything like that, and there's a lot of shops that no one visits ever. And if you can visit them and kind of speak with, you know, talk to them and skate with their crew and everything like that, they're going to pick up your brand and be interested. And then if you have to just keep following up, and I mean, I don't think you're going to have any problems because you have you already have the marketing. You have the marketing ahead of the sales, which is, you know, sales before marketing is almost impossible because you just can't sell nothing. So I don't even know where I'm going with this, but it's just, there's just constant connection, follow up, and just classic. If somebody hits me up for anything, I respond to every email. I respond to every phone call. I respond to every DM, and I'm just extremely, even if the most asinine thing comes to me, or some kid says, "Hey, check out my video," and he's awling over a 2x4 and he wants to get sponsored, I'll respond to that person and be like, "Hey, thanks for sending your stuff in. We're not sponsoring right now, but I want to, please send me something in 6 months," or whatever it is. And so you just have to keep this connection. And the same thing that goes with the shops. If you can just kind of keep a connection and the communication open, eventually it's going to hit and they're going to take something from you, and then you can just kind of build the brand through those shops. But the whole distribution thing early on, when we called for bacon and they asked for something else, was, "Hey, we've got a really good customer. How do I turn this $500 a month sale into a $1,000 a month sale and just build upon that by offering other products?" Because there's only so much of our decks that they're going to want, but they had asked for grip tape. And so we've been a Jessup distributor for 20 years or something like that, which is crazy. And we were the original distributor for Ace in, pre-AF1 for 10 years, better part of 10 years. And we sold Ace up here in the Northwest, which those kind of things that can get you into a store that is obviously more well-known than bacon, for example, that can get your foot in the door, and that's kind of the Trojan horse to get your other stuff in there. Like, "Hey, why don't you try, I know you want, 25 sets of trucks or whatever, why don't you just try a couple of these boards? It's not going to kill you," or whatever it may be. And then, if the name bacon on the wall, I think at this point, it's like, you can have the food thing where someone's like, "Oh, fuck it, I love bacon, let me just buy that board." And so that kind of helped in that regard. It was kind of a generic thing.
Smart. Ian, are
really.
you sliding into shops DMs, Ian?
We definitely done a little bit of DMs. We had a spree where we would try to call all the shops, and I don't know. We kind of have like a 50-50 success rate with them even knowing what it is. And then I think luckily we have the archive of like the video series, and that kind of resonates with some people where they're like, "Oh, okay, like I've seen the videos. I didn't know there are skateboards." So that's kind of been our biggest hurdle, is trying to
Just awareness.
translate that. Yeah.
Catalog.
Yeah.
A paper catalog? Are you sending it, like mailing?
We've been doing
different-
email catalogs, but do you do paper? Or?
No, I like a PDF,
Oh.
but yeah,
Maybe the new thing.
yeah.
Back to paper.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't swipe paper. Well, I guess you can swipe paper off the desk, but it's a little harder to ignore than an email.
The thing with Commonwealth, which is really funny, is when you do hear from a brand calling you and there's like 5 customers, you're like, "Fuck off, dude." You know what I mean? It's like, I'm so busy right now. And then I think about back when I would call on shops, I'm like, why is this guy being such a prick? You know what I mean? It's like, just listen to me. I got something to say. And I'm like, and now that I'm on the other end of the kind of the other side of the desk there, I'm like, God, stop calling me. Just send me an email.
Right. Call's hard to ignore, though.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we're kind of running out of time here, so let's get to the future and the end. Marshall, you talked about winding down Manik. What was kind of the reason for pulling the plug?
We were tired.
It's a good reason.
And then, like I said, I took everything Colin was talking about. I took that business education, and I've been running a profitable, successful indoor skate park for the last decade, where we're able to franchise out. And I've learned a lot from that decade of running a business, or
Yeah, I mean, it's
learning
like a
how to
business
run a
school.
business. Running a business, more like learning how to run. I think we all learned. We all got a priceless education out of the deal and priceless memories.
Yeah. Sebastian, is space program going to last forever, do you think?
No. Yeah, I mean, I think at some point I'm gonna run out of ideas and energy and focus on other things in my life rather than sitting on a stair set for 3 hours filming in the sun, and designing the skateboards myself and calling all the skate shops, editing all the videos. That is tasking, and it gets, you can only do that for so long. But for me, really, what keeps me interested in it is just finding people to work with. That the young skater, like we have this kid now on the team, Simon, who is insane, and I want to highlight him and hopefully get him to go somewhere, So it's like that new energy on the team. Like I said, most of my dudes are my team. They're not all dudes. Most of my team is in their mid to late 20s. So that's the energy of the brand right now. And if they're not focused on skating, I need to go find that energy somewhere else.
Right.
And that takes time too. Like finding someone who's cool, has the right style, you see that potential, and then working with them to get them into that mode. Because it's very different to find the cool kid at the skate park that can skate versus the kid who would put in the work to film a video part and work really hard on that. So I don't think it's going to last forever, but who knows?
Yeah, nothing lasts forever. But Ian, maybe Genesis will.
I don't want to think about the end. I just started.
Yeah, you just started. So
Terrible question.
what's it going to take to get big, to last forever?
I mean, I don't even know if I want it to be big. I just want to build something sustainable and that I can continue. And I think if anything, the videos will be forever. And if you like the videos, you can buy a shirt or a board for as long as we can continue doing it. And if not, it's fine.
Sounds good. All right. Think we're right on track. Got some questions. All right. I'm gonna come.
I also have a mic too. I can run to. I think I saw.
Oh
Yeah, I can run the mic.
All right, cool.
I think I saw this hand up first.
Back to marketing, I tend to look at Ian and Jeremy at Flip as like the kings of the side hustle and leveraging the popularity of your skateboard company to hook up your riders with shoes, Boost Mobile, whatever it might have been back in the day. Have any of you, can you point to successes you've had leveraging despite your low budget, leveraging the coolness of your brand to hook up your riders with ancillary brands that they need that might actually pay them?
I mean, I think that's kind of the only way to keep it going in the modern day. We're still kind of like looking for those opportunities for our guys, but yeah, I don't know. I'm curious if you guys have had any experiences with that.
Yeah, I mean, to give an example, Nathan, he was working, like he had like an hour of footage for our full length, like just raw footage, and I was like, dude, you have so much footage, you can put out a part like literally every year for the next 3 years. But he was like, I want it to come out right now. And I said, just focus on making something really good that stands out, and that will take you further. Like it's a bit of a time sacrifice, but that video part was so good that it kind of set him up to go and do things with footwear and hardware, to where now he's getting more budget and opportunities through his other sponsors to go somewhere with skateboarding. So it was a little bit of advice, I guess, but I don't know if that answers your question.
There was a lot of kooks coming at us trying to give us weird shit. And the good news is most of the kids were like, fuck that, but also like we had a nice little tight thing that worked out well, but like and there was even like a year where like I got a free cell phone from some rando company, but when it'd be like, all right, let's sit down and talk money, nobody ever, and I know young people right now that are like kind of going big with their stuff, and I'm like, are they paying you? Is Doritos giving you money? No, they're giving us cases and cases of sugar. I'm like, dude, that's bad. What are you doing? You know what I mean? But like, it is. I've been talking to Ian though. He does have leverage because he's been working at Jankum, and he's got a brand that kids look up to. So you do have some leverage, but my advice is just show me the money, like that. And if you can get somebody to give you some money, I mean, we got some money from Dr. Pepper one time, like there was a few times where we got some money, but I would just like, if any outside brand company is looking, the only people that are making money right now are like not skateboard companies, Monster, clearly, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, where's the check?
I feel like skaters these days are pretty aware of that stuff too. Like they're pretty aware of their image too, so they're not really trying to be like, let me get that Jones Soda hat on, it's just like that's so, which that someone approached one of my writers for that, and I was like, just think about it, like the perception of you, like money's great, but how do you want to be perceived too?
But as for you, especially as you're starting out, if someone's coming, approaching you, they obviously they want to use your influence to help them. So, you know what I mean? It's like beware of false prophets kind of thing. So you just got to make sure your brand doesn't get dissolved by somebody else and stay true to your brand. I mean, obviously the money is going to be awesome, and it's so hard to, when you see dollar signs, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to do it, you know? But you have to just assume that they're coming to you because they want you, not the other way around. And so it would have to be mutual, because you don't want to be, hey, wear this, hat and we'll give you money. It's going to dissolve what you're trying to accomplish and your brand.
Yeah, well, I just saw Hunter over here. I was like, yeah, he laced up our team. And we would do lots of Nike collab projects, lots. And there were plenty of times where we just sent invoices and it was no problem. But I was just remembering, we worked with Microsoft Zune and but they wrote a check. I'm sure that was a spot question. There were plenty of times and I was always okay, we'll do that for a check. And then people started saying, hey, I'm going to start a brand and I want to pick your brain. I'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to be $500 an hour. And I'm I don't know how people have consulting companies, because nobody would ever, I just started being yeah, that's going to cost money, but there were definitely we did coffee company stuff, and there's a certain opportunity where it's all kinds of weird shit will come your way, especially with these DMs. This was pre-DM. But if you can get some money, I actually got a lot of money off of Zoomies too. And while that can be the beast, it's also the partnership. I've done a lot of good things with them, and they always would pay. So, and now I work for Evo, which is a ski company, but they pay for a lot of us to live. They're never going to ask me to put it, and there was K2 shit. I remember K2's, just get money if any weird shit's going to come your way.
And I think for the
I get emails like that, but it's mostly spam trying to steal my credit card information. I'm like, we love your brand, X blank. We'll love to work with you. Hit this link. You're like, ugh.
I think for the riders to get money kind of independent of your brand is no big deal. As far as they need some skater because we did do some stuff for Microsoft for, they wanted to film some people and they were going to pay for them, $1,000 to go to San Francisco and skate Pacifica Skatepark, and it's going to be used in the launch of whatever their version of Flash was at the time. And I was like, yeah, I mean, fuck it, because it's nothing to do with our brand. You're going to get money. Nobody knows. It's not like it's going to, it's of no consequence to us. But I keep going back to you, Ian, but it's just just protect your brand,
Yeah, and watch out for that Microsoft money.
Totally, it's coming.
It's coming for everybody. Do we have time for one more question?
Yeah, we have time for one more question in the back, and then we're going to take a break before our next session.
Hello, everybody. Templeton, wonderful job moderating to the panel. Thank you for your honesty and vulnerability. This is not easy stuff to talk about. So a question for all of you. Are there any company owners or business people, the sort of folks that you read about in, say, the New York Times or The Economist, who inspire you, who's maybe you don't necessarily make the same product, but you are inspired by the way that they conducted themselves and the way that they were able to manage to operate a business selling whatever?
Warren Buffett. No, I was kidding.
Sebastian, Ian, you guys got any business heroes?
Not particularly. I think it's kind of tricky when we're in a market where you're constantly losing money, so it's kind of hard to relate it to someone who is successful. But I'll think about it for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I work in advertising, so I had plenty of shithead bosses that take money for themselves and don't take care of their employees. I think in skateboarding, I would look at brands with longevity, like Alien, Habitat, what those brands have done and the people that run it. It's just I grew up skating in the early 2000s, so it was just looking at those brands and being like, holy, they're so fucking sick, and everything they're doing makes a lot of sense. Like everyone was trying to be like them, and they still have. They're not the same as they used to be, but they still have that aura about them as a brand, and I just think that like Ostrowski and the people at Alien have done such a good job with their brand.
For sure.
I really like Sal Barbier and Alfonso Rawls currently. But even when we started Manik, I was like, we want to be like Girl Chocolate. That's what we wanted to be like. So I like what they do.
For sure. All right. Thanks everybody so much for your attention and your time.